This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map, Caldera of Chaos 4, a 3-player FFA in the north as the Yellow Soviets. This is Blind Honor. To the right as the Red Empire, this is Edvin. And in the south as the Orange Soviets, this is Chris. Now, if these names are looking familiar, sounding familiar, or this idea of these guys in a 3-player FFA seems familiar, then you may have seen the FFA that they played on, I believe, Pyroclasm in the Team Games video. It's like 130 minutes of Team Games. It's relatively recent. If you missed it, there are some great matches in that video, and a 3-player FFA between these guys on a different map is one of the great matches in that game. Actually, at this point, don't remember who actually won that because it's been a little while since that video went up. This engineer. Interesting. So this map has 3 oil derricks. I just got kind of sidetracked by this. And Edvin didn't actually send out triple dojo to get all 3 of the oil derricks. Which is kind of interesting. Most of the time in like a 1v1, you know, an Empire player will open 3-4 dojos almost as standard, but in this case, not really happening. Right into the super reactor for Chris. Oh, by the way, I do want to say, Chris, ordinarily a Soviet player. Oh, the engineer gets sniped. A good catch there by Chris. A Terror Drone looks like he's going to get caught by Edvin's Imperial Warriors. But Chris, normally a Soviet player. Edvin, I believe, normally a filthy Tengu spammer, a.k.a. Empire player, which is exactly what I do when I play Empire. But, Blind Honor, I'm not actually sure what he normally plays as. He may very well be a Soviet main. I know I've seen him play, like, allies in other games, but I'm not 100% what he mains. So, we got a Soviet player, an Empire player, and then another Soviet player, which will make some of you very, very happy. I do want to give a shout-out to Defibyoulater and the Bayou Boys. They are Patreons, and they were nice enough to throw me a tip over there, as well as Oz Media, TheArbiter, Isaac H., Jason B. Thank you guys for helping me out over on Patreon. And for those of you who are watching this in, March of 2021, I am actually going to be out of town traveling for work for much of March and most of April, which means I will not be casting any new videos. So the plan is to produce enough videos to do maybe 2 videos a week while I'm out of town, but we will see how that goes. And this video is kind of the start of that. But we shall see if I'm able to. So if March and April are a little bit light on the content, that is why. Sickle coming out from Blind Honor. Relatively slow start by these guys in the first couple of minutes of this game, but it's a 3-player FFA. That's definitely not unusual. Sudden Transport going to be giving safe passage to this engineer. Go ahead and jump inside of that oil derrick. This 3rd oil derrick never actually claimed by anyone. Chris grabbed this one, Blind Honor grabbed that one, and then no one actually bothered to grab this 3rd oil derrick now several minutes into the game even. I mean, we got 3rd refineries coming up, we got airfields, tier 2 on the field, crusher cranes even, but still, no one has grabbed that other refinery over there. And Edvin might actually just be capturing the 2 oil derricks, which have already been captured, so of course he doesn't get that cashback reward. I do love this. This is a great move if you're in an FFA, is trying to sneak a building, especially something like a naval yard when you're Empire, although you can also do it with allies. It looks like another terror drone went down, by including a command hub. And then you can get something teched up way in the corner of the map where no one is suspecting, where no one is seeing it, and then you can suddenly have shoguns or dreadnoughts or aircraft carriers pumping out into your opponent's base, keeping them hidden until you're ready to completely crush your opponent. So I always love seeing that kind of stuff. I believe Edvin may have actually done that in the last FFA as well, snuck out some tech into the corner. A lot of times players will put a power plant in the very corner of the map. It's a nice little insurance policy in case you lose most of your buildings, but you still have a decent army. Or if you, like, just have an MCV and one production facility and then, you know, your entire main base gets sacked, you still don't lose power. You've still got just a little bit of electricity keeping your production online and stopping you from entering that slow mode. Third refineries and fourth refineries looks like they're coming up relatively soon. Still no third refinery from Edvin, who definitely is having a slow start to this game. He did grab this oil derrick, but it looks like Chris has grabbed it back, so Edvin didn't actually have that one for very long. Blind Honor is now in control of that oil derrick. I think Chris grabbed it initially. Maybe my eyes deceived me and I was actually misseeing that. Terror Drone gets the infect on the sudden transport. I assume the sudden transport is there because there's something inside of it, but there's nothing unloading. Oh, there may have been an engineer or something inside of that inside of that sudden transport that the Terror Drone just killed. Up to Tier 2 is this naval yard, so yeah, it looks like Shogun battleships are going to be on the menu. So if you're wondering why Chris has had a little bit of a slow start, part of it is checking up a war factory and a naval yard, but then also spending like $2,000 on engineers, which didn't really pay off for him. So he's dumping cash into a bunch of places. Some of them are working out, but some of them aren't, and he's just now going to be getting up that third refinery. I guess opening a fairly safe way. You know, if you're in a 3-player FFA, you can go that triple refinery opening and get your 3-ref econ up and running very, very quickly as an Empire player, but then because it's an FFA, you know, you have to scout 2 different guys. You have to be ready for attacks from potentially 2 different locations. It's a different sort of a risk that you're taking than in just a 1v1 where you only have to check one guy if he's rushing you. Fourth refinery up and running. Looking good for Chris and Blind Honor. Tier 3 coming up for Chris as well. I don't think I've seen the nanotech mainframe coming out from Edvin just yet, but I'm assuming Blind Honor is pretty much on the same level as Chris. Extra power plant going maybe to the corner of the map. There's the naval yard from Blind Honor. And of course, with that crusher crane, he can be producing stuff while his MCV is on the move. But no Tier 3 from Blind Honor just yet. Chris, on the other hand, I think he's probably gearing up for Dreadnoughts, although he doesn't actually have a naval yard out on the map. Oil derrick on the left side got cleaned up at some point. Lots of Twin Frog probably going to be present in this game, with this map having a nice little lake in the middle. It does provide a little extra kind of mobility that your Twin Blades and your Bullfrogs can take advantage of, whereas if they're being chased by Hammer Tanks, the Hammer Tanks are going to have a little bit more difficult time traversing the middle of this map. And then, of course, you can hit the expansions as well. There is our Tier 3 coming up. A gentleman's agreement between these guys. We've seen hardly a battle, hardly a scuffle, hardly any real damage in this game, and already Tier 3 is coming up for 2 out of our 3 players at least. So yeah, a bit of a gentleman's agreement. Scouting C-Wings, always good to have. Chris also sending a bear to the corner of the map just to see, is Edvin trying anything sneaky? Engineer gets dropped off, but of course the oil derrick isn't there, and that engineer could force the MCV away, although the MCV is already packed up, so maybe that's what the engineer was already doing, and I just missed that little bit of a moment. MCV taking a lot of damage. Might actually be worth sacking a couple of Twin Blades to get the guaranteed kill. He didn't even have to sack a Twin Blade. Blind Honor, come on, just absolutely crushing it. Now, of course, when you've got out a war factory and a naval yard, and it's an FFA, where your opponent is maybe more likely to leave you alone for a little while, losing an MCV isn't necessarily the end of the world. But it is definitely not something that you want to have happen. It kind of feels like there's 2 players in the north side. Oh, I didn't actually realize there was a veteran academy in this top right corner. So there's expansions in the other 3 corners, but a veteran academy in that top right corner. Now, it does kind of feel like the top half of the map is a little bit more split than the bottom half. I love this from Blind Honor. Come on, man. The triple Tesla coil. I didn't even realize when I was down here a moment ago that those were actually Blind Honor's Tesla coils. And he dropped an outpost on Chris's expansion before Chris even realized it. And I guess one of those are actually Chris's Tesla coil, which comes up first, but he didn't start two at once, which means he will lose out in the Tesla coil fight eventually, although Blind Honor's Tesla coil got off significantly fewer shots, so this Tesla coil from Chris will actually survive a good bit longer than it otherwise would have. And goodbye Chris's Tesla coil. Of course, Tesla coil is only a single attacking, only able to attack a single target at a time, which means cheap, fast units can defeat them. Barely. No, it doesn't get it, which means actually this Tesla coil may end up going down to this next Flak Trooper. And goodbye Tesla coil. Chris going to be moving out with a lot of hammer tanks, a couple of APOC tanks as well, even a sickle mixed in here. The bullfrogs are a little bit far behind, so hopefully Chopper VXs don't manage to catch that army of Chris and absolutely eviscerate it as the poor Kirov gets eliminated before he had a chance to do anything. That tier 3 is lovely, but those units do cost quite a bit, and the Kirov is, of course, very slow. Reactor coming down from somebody to just add a little bit extra blocking for that Tesla coil, I guess, as Blind Honor has completely shut down this expansion, also going to be forcing the sell-off of the tier 3. So goodbye tier 3 production. I hope, Chris, you had something else going on. Although a Crusher Crane at this point, you got 3-4 refineries for most of this game. You had an oil derrick for most of the game, maybe even 2 of them for a good chunk of the game. And you didn't get out a Crusher Crane. That's actually a little bit suspicious. And of course, that is why the 2 Tesla coils beat the 1 Tesla coil. Also, great use of that reactor. I didn't even realize that that is the last place that he has build radius here, so he can actually just get almost a free expansion out of this. Obviously, it cost quite a lot to take over this area, but a good move there by Blind Honor. Toxins, I assume? Yeah, Toxin's going to be coming down on that barracks. A little bit off. It would have cleared the building as well if it had been placed a little bit to the left. Twin Blades and Megs going to be coming in. They'll poke in, clean up a reactor, maybe even get a second reactor. Force the cancel of the Battle Lab once again by Chris. So Chris under a lot of trouble, and Blind Honor might actually get a second MCV kill in one game. The Bullfrogs are quite close, and 4 of them are here to do some good damage to these Twin Blades, but this is a lot of Twin Blades. They weren't actually able to jump on the Bullfrogs in the numbers. If you can get up close and personal with the Bullfrogs, this number, you would actually be able to kill them. But with how good the control of Chris is, or the fact that Chris was just paying attention and keeping his Bullfrogs out of range of the Twin Blades, that fact leads to the fact that the Twin Blades could not get on top of the Bullfrogs and clean them up. The MCV goes down anyways, which means Chris will have to join the likes of Edvin in rebuilding his MCV from his war factory, since Chris has no naval yard, unfortunately. And Edvin, on the other hand, just sitting back, not really necessarily looking to take a fight or provoke anyone until just now, apparently, as he heads out with some Tengus, going to be going for potentially some harass, turns around, just wanting to scout the map and see what's what. Blind Honor definitely feeling like the one to beat in this situation, considering he's killed multiple MCVs, and I believe he's the only one actively on Tier 3 at this point. Edvin should be close. He still doesn't have a Tier 3 naval yard. He still doesn't have a Tier 3 war factory, so even if he got out a nanotech mainframe at some point, he has not actually constructed the, bought the Tier 3 upgrade, so. Chris moving into potentially anger Blind Honor. A curious choice here from Chris. I don't know if I totally agree with this opportunity, but he sees something and he's going to go for it. It looks like Natasha got a snipe off on one of the hammer tanks, and Chris able to clean up everything from Blind Honor. Blind Honor's army actually mostly was just air units? I'm not actually sure where the rest of his ground army is. Perhaps he literally just never actually built anything. He's been on, I want to double check. He's only got 2 grand, so he has been spending his money. I thought with all of the refineries that he's got, he would be a little bit better off on the ground Terror Drone gets an infect on an APOC tank, and unfortunately for Chris, that may be the end of that APOC tank. He could try and run it back, but if he never actually built the Crusher Crane, then he's going to have a hard time. Although I guess technically Stingrays can also clear it, although I don't know that you could quite glitch the game enough to clear an APOC tank. I believe it's the overcharge from the Stingrays that allows them to clear out Terror Drones. Chris pushing forward. The APOC tank still at mostly full health. Wow. Those Terror Drones, when you get like the Grinder Treads upgrade or whatever it is that heals up APOC tanks, when you get that upgrade, they actually do pretty decently. Chris continuing to push forward. Bullfrogs leading the front of the pack, and apparently Blind Honor says, well, maybe I should build some of those hammer tank things. And it's a little too late at this point. Again, I'm just so surprised that he had literally no ground army. I guess he had Natasha, and he thought that was going to be enough to keep him safe, and the answer is not quite. Now, of course, the advantage for Blind Honor is that none of Chris's units, well, none of the ones that shoot down, can swim. So the Bullfrogs aren't much of a threat to his expansion, and with no Chronosphere to get these APOC tanks over to the corner of the map, it's going to be fairly difficult for Chris to make something happen out on the water. Tengu's going to be taking down the Oil Derrick, and Blind Honor is going to resign himself to a naval life. The life out on the sea. And I guess this corner of the map, you know, he's always got that going for him, which is where his MCV has been hanging out. He might just be the man in the corners. Losing the super reactor, losing the other reactors as well. Always unfortunate. This APOC tank has barely lost any health with the constant repairs that it is getting. And I mean, you gotta hand it to Chris being able to clear that entire base. He did have one additional hammer tank when he started that assault, but he really needs to potentially move on and do something else with this APOC tank, although at this point he may have actually built a Crusher Crane. He literally is going to construct a Crusher Crane after having destroyed the entire base. Could go ahead and recap that hammer tank. Destroyed the entire base and still made it home in time for his APOC tanks to heal up. Sea Wings out on the water for Edvin. Still not up to Tier 3. I'm not sure what Edvin is doing with all of his money. Oh, he's actually out of money, so... I mean, he started the game pretty low income. And now, of course, Blind Honor is starting to float money because he has no real production and no way to really get anything going on. I guess he lost the naval yard to, I think, Edvin's forces earlier. Couple of MiGs and Twin Blades. Only 2 Twin Blades. Akula Sub takes on a bunch of Yaris, ends up losing there. This match definitely hitting a slowdown, and not just because of the replay trying to catch up there. Couple of tank busters in the corner. Going to be taking care of the Veteran Academy that Blind Honor captured at some point. Veteran Academy, definitely a super powerful neutral structure. Not the one that you end up seeing very often for good reason. But, you know, every once in a while. Blind Honor re-expanding to his main base. Going to be losing the Sputnik there. And goodbye Sputnik. So no new buildings until these ones actually finish. A couple of Tengus going to be pulling away as Edvin is also investigating this space. A lot of Tengus showing up to clear both the MiGs and the Twin Blades. And goodbye MiGs. Goodbye Twin Blades. You press that Tengu key, you never let up. And that is your army comp until the Shoguns arrive. Still no Tier 3 out on the water there for Edvin. He's got a lot of Sea Wings way down in the south. Still pulling away at that ore mine. He's pulled 20 grand out of that ore mine, so he's been able to get a lot of cash from that corner. I guess Chris had it for a little while, but Blind Honor's had it for a good amount of time. Back up to Tier 3 is Chris, definitely being the more active of the players in this game. And, I guess that's what it looks like when someone clears out walls with Tesla coils. Stop command given to the ore collector at some point. APOC tank's going to be clearing out the original main base of Blind Honor once again. I'm not sure that that expansion was worth it. It cost him quite a bit of money to invest or to build all of that stuff, and it just all got ravaged once again. Gets a little bit of cash back on the walls. Hey, why not get some cash back for that stuff? Tengu's tangling with the Soviet player once again. APOC tanks, hammer tanks going to be pulling away from Blind Honor's base. A single conscript. This guy has seen some stuff. The stories that he would tell back home as Chris starts taking some shots at edvin. I love this from Chris. A dreadnought in the middle of the map. I guess he can't quite get all of the land areas here, but he can get a majority of them. And a tank buster surprise going to be potentially taking down a super reactor. edvin losing the tank busters to a bear and a twin blade. A clutch move there by Chris. So close to losing that super reactor. Not quite for nothing, but almost for nothing. Reactor goes down. There goes the build radius. The Tesla coil gets eliminated. And this bullfrog and this flak cannon are going to eventually clean up that Kirov. It did take quite some time for it to go down. And I don't think... Oh, it did actually damage the Tesla coil. The range on those bullfrogs is actually... Or on the bullfrogs. The range on the Kirovs, as far as what they damage when they crash into the ground, is actually pretty good, apparently. Tesla coil takes some damage. Couple of suiciding Tengus, but of course Chris constructed an engineer and repaired that building. So not really a big deal for Chris once the super reactor is back up to full health, to keep a couple of individual Tengus from trying to kill it off. Final squadron crashes down. Again, not much to do there, as I've been using a Tier 1 support power to not much success. A couple of Stingrays crawling their way into edvin's base. Blind Honor, once again, with the sneaky expansion. I assume he's lifting these in with... Oh, I just realized that Chris's MCV is there. I assume Blind Honor is lifting in the Sputniks with the twin blades and then dropping them off that way. A couple of tank busters in this building, going to get almost a free kill on a couple of those hammer tanks. As the building, who cares about the damage taken by it? And now fully heroic, and the toxins might not be... Yep, no, they actually were well placed enough to clear out the building. You do want to make sure that you clear those buildings if at all possible. Vacuum imploder out on the field, and there are not enough bullfrogs to clear this much Empire air. There are 3 bullfrogs still surviving the first pass, and a couple of MiGs show up, but they get absolutely shredded, just destroyed by those Tengus. And goodbye, APOC tanks. You may be powerful, you may be strong and expensive, but you are no match for this many strikers. And on top of that, just a couple of Tengus going to be able to transform and chase away the rest of Chris's army. Chris with a big move, but mostly a swing and a miss, as he once again is trying to establish a little bit of a base up here in Blind Honor's original main base. I think this is the second time he's actually tried to establish that. Dreadnought tank trying to take some more shots off at edvin, as he's cleared out one refinery and maybe some other infrastructure stuff, as Chris also has a vacuum imploder out on the map. Hold up in a corner. Wait, where is this vacuum imploder? Okay, it's actually there behind that refinery. Hold up in a corner with a rapidly depleting ore mine is Blind Honor, and Blind Honor with a couple of conscripts Molotov cocktailing an ore refinery, because hey, you do what you can. Blind Honor going from the guy to beat to looking pretty weak overall. Of course, he does have the vacuum imploder, but this is not Generals, where you can have multiple super weapons and actually clear out MCVs or other people's super weapons with just your super weapons. You have to try and time it with something else. Satellites and a super weapon might be able to do it, especially if this is a Tier 3 satellite, but of course the super reactor is, or the vacuum imploder is 4 minutes away. But yeah, you could potentially take down like the super reactor with satellites and a vacuum imploder. I'm not actually sure if a tier 3 satellite and a vacuum imploder would kill it, or if it would just like barely survive. Maybe GBH Michael can tell us, or maybe XYHC can tell us. But Crusher Crane going down, very annoying for Chris. He actually does need to rebuild that. That is a legitimate problem for him to overcome. And hey, look at this Edvin in the corner of the map, rebuilding some good infrastructure. Still no Shoguns. Edvin, you're here for literally one reason. I don't care that you organize like a bunch of tournaments and you play multiple Command & Conquer games and you do work on multiple site sections. I don't care about any of that. Here's your one job. You build Sea-Wings, you build Shogun battleships. Those are the entertaining things that we want to see. We don't want to see a million strikers try and kill off all of these bullfrogs. They might be able to jump onto the bullfrogs, getting caught in the corner. 3 bullfrogs still surviving, and the strikers not enough firepower to actually wipe clean those bullfrogs. And now APOC tank and 3 hammer tanks are somewhat unopposed in the main base of Edvin. He may actually be losing his war factory as 2 tank busters going to pop on up. They get the kill on one of the hammer tanks. The second hammer tank goes down, and back into the ground go the tank busters as the APOC tank starts grinding away at the war factor. This is a tier 3 mecha bay that cost quite a bit of money, but to be honest, Edvin, what are you producing out of there that's actually tier 3? Nothing at all. I didn't see a single Wave Force Artillery, King Oni, nothing like that. Satellites getting called down. The ore refinery barely survives. The war factory goes down, and Edvin taking some big blows in his main base. But to be honest, this is not the majority of his power. This is not where his future lies. 2 minutes left on the clock for Blind Honor. This is a vacuum imploder. MiGs showing up from Blind Honor. Perhaps some messages typed frantically by Edvin trying to bait Blind Honor in, but Blind Honor trades out 1 MiG for 2. The Bullfrogs clearing 2 of his MiGs as he only takes down 1 of Chris's. Even a 3rd MiG going down to a flat cannon. What a mistake there. Not a big mistake, but a miscalculation by Blind Honor to think that he could step forward. And oh, these Sea-Wings, so much damage as they clear out a Kirov. And Chris, once again, the king of building Kirovs, hasn't actually been able to do very much with those Kirovs. Chris, also the king of actually killing off people's stuff on the land. We may actually be in a weird situation where Edvin is in one corner, Blind Honor is in another corner, and Chris has the entirety of the original island under his control. Actually, we are almost at a de facto point of that, with Chris clearing out Edvin from that corner of the map. A fully heroic APOC tank, not something you see very often. I always love when units go fully heroic, when people keep them alive that long. To be able to do that in an APOC tank is certainly a cool thing to see. Relative to APOC tank, even better. That thing shoots air as well. And the animations. I like that they do like the mini mushroom cloud here as well. And, you know, they got the red color and all that. Always fun to see. 30 seconds left. Iron Curtain just finished constructing for Chris, but with 2 super reactors packed tightly together, going to sell off one of them moments before it goes up, and the V4 gets off 1 rocket, but it's not going to be enough to shut down the Shogun battleship, frozen at 1 minute and 4 seconds as Blind Honor's vacuum imploder continues to count down, getting closer and closer to 0. But where will Blind Honor fire it off at? 4 seconds left. A couple of Shogun battleships. They're not threatening him right now, right here, but they will be threatening him after Edvin clears out Chris. Where do you use that vacuum imploder? What is the best target for it? The densest base is definitely Chris. But do you risk nuking Chris and then letting Blind Honor run free? Or excuse me, Edvin run free to then come for you if you are Blind Honor. He might actually just nuke this expansion. He's going to try and clear it with Twin Blades. A good little move in and retreat there by Blind Honor. Chris is back online. His electricity is flowing. 30 seconds left, and then he can use his own vacuum imploder to try and clear these Shogun battleships if he should so choose. But of course, more Shogun battleships almost certainly on the way from Chris, from Edvin. as Chris gets vacuum imploderized. Vacuum imploded. Satellite's now going to be getting called down upon the War Factory, forcing Chris to sell it off. It's already taken some pretty big damage. Definitely the right move there by Chris. And Chris's main base has technically not quite been cleared, but boy, is it close as his own vacuum imploder counts down to 0. Shogun battleships get split to different areas. There's 3 Shogun battleships and only 1 vacuum imploder. Unfortunately, unlike the V4, you can't split it off into little pieces, although these twin blades could be a juicy target if they are together with the MiGs. That could be the best use in terms of eliminating value of your opponents. Still nothing fired off just yet from Chris. A lot of explosions clearing out, scorching the ground here, clearing out his original main base. And that is it. Chris's original main base is now wiped clean. Completely removed all of the original buildings. Toxins coming in for Blind Honor, going to be delaying Chris's harvesting just by a little bit. Although at this point, this is surely, yeah, that's a depleted ore mine, so it's not like it's that much lost mining time. Tank Buster is going to be showing up, a little bit of a Tank Buster surprise. Of course, a couple of bears, always a quick reaction by Chris. There's the launch as the vacuum imploder fires off, and there's the impact in the corner of the map. Double airfield, tier 3, and a super reactor, all the target of Chris's incredibly potent vacuum imploder. Satellites also called down, crashes into the reactor just to reset that build timer by just a moment. An additional refinery going to be going down. Chris forced to scramble, forced to try and make anything and everything work as he has been pushed out of his original main base. He's here in the middle of the map with a bunch of infrastructure. That's where his Iron Curtain actually is. His vacuum imploder still holding on pretty well. It's almost at the point where it's worth just sending an engineer into it to get the instant repair so that he doesn't have to worry about the slow rebuild of the repair tool. Another flak cannon going to potentially be going down here as these twin blades have been harassing that northern location almost constantly, poking in and out. Super reactor rebuild is happening, although vacuum imploder is still online, so he doesn't need the super reactor to bring his countdown timer back up and running. Instead, it's just for additional infrastructure. Still a little bit of cash left in this ore mine, so Chris does have that going for him. And honestly, these 3 guys have been so almost equally beaten down that it's hard to say who is actually going to be able to try and win this, because Edvin has the artillery advantage. Edvin has sort of the positioning, but a couple of vacuum imploders aren't that far away from completely nullifying Edvin's offensive capabilities. MCV on the move, down to the low ground. 9 grand left in that ore mine. Most of the ore mines have been depleted. Not all of them, obviously. 6 grand still left in that one. Airfield coming up. Couple of twin blades, couple of MiGs could be a good choice. Again, when you're in a situation like this, sometimes suiciding units, if it guarantees a kill on a couple of your opponent's really key units, like say Shoguns, because you're not going to be able to get past this army of Sea Wings without some kind of problem. So if you can suicide and then like eliminate your opponent's last couple of really destructive units, that can be worth it. Like, for example, if you ended up killing off the Imperial Docks, then that's a big reset and almost worth suiciding for. But in this case, the Sea Wings are on their way north to try and defend these. But actually, some of the Sea Wings stayed back home. Tengus and Sea Wings on their way north to try and defend these Shogun battleships, and he actually doesn't quite get the kill on that Shogun. And at this point, he decides it is not worth it. Unfortunately for Chris, ooh, he actually does save his other twin blades, almost gets a kill on a Tengu for it. It would have been the double vet Tengu as well, which would have been a great catch for Chris. Toxins once again going to be coming down. Blind Honor trying to cause as many problems, as much trouble for Chris as he can. Edvin and Blind Honor, again, not really clashing all too much for the last couple of minutes of this game, maybe the last 5 to 10 minutes, more like it, as it's really just been Chris fighting both of them in different ways, although really the only fighting that he's done with Blind Honor was the Vacuum Imploder, so a little bit of nukage going to the north. Bears going for the scout, getting shot at by Shogun battleships. That seems a bit of a mismatch, if you ask me. I guess the Shogun battleships do indeed hard counter. Really, Edvin? Really, Edvin? He goes for the bull rush of the Shogun battleship. Ramming speed? What is that actually called? Oh, it is called ramming speed. Gives you a little speed boost so you can run over stuff. And hey, when you're in this kind of a weird situation, a whole bunch of twin blades solve a bunch of problems. A couple of Tengus here in the south, but the base defenses are actually offline, so if Chris knew this, he might actually have enough anti-air to clear that between Bullfrogs and MiGs. I don't know if he actually has any MiGs rolling around, but between Bullfrogs and MiGs, he might actually be able to crush this entire base of Edvin, which is Edvin's primary source of income. There's the sound effect cueing us in that the Vacuum Imploder is back online, and it's into the middle of the map with the satellites as well. Double super reactor and the Iron Curtain as the satellites rain down, and even balloon bombs there as well, getting sucked in by that Vacuum Imploder. I'm not actually sure what that does in terms of effectiveness. He's going for the naval yard as well, boys. And this is what we call a coordinated attack. These two guys both teaming up with all of their superpowers, with all of their command abilities to nuke Chris completely out of the middle of the map. Once again, the Tank Buster surprise coming in, almost being clutch, but not quite making it happen. Bunch of conscripts actually going to get the kill on these Tank Busters. It does take a minute to work through their armor when they're down in the ground there, but it does indeed eventually work. And the Vacuum Imploder survives, but of course low power mode for Chris. Chris moving around the map, constantly expanding and re-expanding, depleting almost all of these ore mines. This is the big money ore mine, really, as this game goes on. That one is almost depleted, but not quite. These ones have probably been depleted for quite some time. Sea Wings and a Shogun battleship going for the kill on these expansions on the high ground, as Edvin is looking to rendezvous his forces for potentially. Bullfrogs here to clean up the Sky Wings. They get pushed out onto the water, potentially going to be forced to turn back into Sea Wings. They've been getting the kill on those harvesters. Even an APOC tank taking a little bit of damage. I love this little move that the Sea Wings do where they go into like the figure 8. Of course, it doesn't make any sense that when they make the first pass, they all slow way, way down as they're passing directly over the thing that they're attacking. I don't know why that is. If that was like a thing because of collision, where units were trying to not collide, and it's causing like a bit of a slowdown, or if it was some other reason within the game code that causes them to slow down like that. But I guess it's a weird like visual bug mostly. Or maybe that counts as a pathing bug. Hey, look at all the space between these super reactors. That is a wild idea. Oh, one of these super reactors is actually on the land. I guess if you're Empire, there's no way to transport vehicles, because of course you can do it with twin blades, you can do it with the chronosphere, but Empire has no way to transport any vehicles. So if you wanted to get a bunch of King Onis or a bunch of Wave Force onto the middle of the map, if you're Edvin, you just literally can't. So you literally have to clear away. I mean, you got tsunami tanks, you got Tengus, you got chopper VXs, you got Skywings. You can do it with other stuff, but in terms of big heavies, you got no way to get them to the other side of the map. Although Twin Blades pulling APOC tanks, was that just a thing in the campaign? Was that actually that's a multiplayer thing also, right? I don't actually remember if that's just in the campaigns that you can pick up APOC tanks with Twin Blades, or is it a multiplayer thing as well? That might actually be one of those balance changes that is different between the different things. 1 second, 0 seconds left for Chris. He's back online. He is ready to bomb someone out of existence. And it may not actually be... Oh, actually, it will be the vacuum imploder of Blind Honor, forcing the sell-off. There's the satellites as well. And hey, if you want to kill a vacuum imploder, apparently it is a vacuum imploder plus a tier 3 satellite to do the job, which kind of begs the question, why didn't Blind Honor do that himself? Balloon Bomb's going to be coming down, and Final Squadron as well. It's a tier 3 Final Squadron, going to do a lot of damage. I don't think it'll actually kill the vacuum imploder. Yeah, you can't use two support powers. You need a little bit more than that. Although, where is the Tank Buster Surprise at the moment that you actually need it? Engineer pops on out, and there's the heal up of that vacuum imploder. Back up to full life. Satellite's going to be raining down from Blind Honor. If he had been a little bit faster on it and dropped it over here, it actually probably would have killed that vacuum imploder. Refinery down to about 10% HP, and there is another vacuum imploder right in the same position for Blind Honor. Chris going to be taking damage on a refinery over here. The Twin Blades are going to be able to save it, kill off those tank busters. Once again, the Yari mini-sub coming in for the scout, wanting to make sure there's no dreadnoughts potentially on the way that need to be eliminated. No naval yards to challenge Edvin's rule of the sea. And how are these guys actually going to resolve this? Presumably, it will end at some point. I guess there's no rule that says that, but, like, you know, it's a replay, so the game ended at some point. Maybe the game ended when all of their computers crashed and they just couldn't go on. They just couldn't make it anymore. Shogun battleships clearing out more of Chris's expansions. Chris getting pushed further and further inland. He does still have 3 refineries under his control. Still not this one. A bit unfortunate for Chris. Satellites once again. Oh no, actually toxins. The triple Desolator, I don't know, Desolator Delta? I forget what the tier 3 of that is called. It's like the Desolator Delta Airstrike or something. They have those, like, slightly different names for each of them. Bullfrog showing up to try and clear out the Skywings, but of course not enough to actually do anything. And, well, there's Magnetic Singularity, which causes a slight delay in the vacuum imploder of Chris. Blind Honor getting a... Ooh! Iron Curtains. Alright, so if you split the difference, if you nuke this palm tree, you see that lovely palm tree? You nuke the palm tree with the vacuum imploder and the satellites at once. Does it kill both structures? It would be very, very close. You might have to also suicide some Twin Blades in, which I don't know how many Twin Blades Chris actually does have to suicide. He never built, like, a huge number. Yeah, he got, like, 12 or something. But he's not one of those guys who in this game was able to get up to, like, 30 Twin Blades where you can take 10 of them and suicide them and you still have a good number. Like, you know... Those MiGs skating close to death, but never actually dying. And a terror drone gets the infect on a fully heroic Shogun battleship. I think it has enough time to get all the way back to its naval yard. It is almost literally as far as you possibly could be away from the docks when it got infected. Like, I guess this is maybe as far as it could be, or maybe like there. But it is almost literally the exact other side of the map. But it looks like. In this case, would it actually be better to use the ramming speed to try and move a little bit more quickly for some of these distances? It might actually. The Terror Drone trying to cut down that Shogun battleship. Balloon bombs called in once again by Edvin, and there's the engineer for the instant heal up once again. Twin Blade's going to be coming in, but where are the MiGs? Where are the Bullfrogs to kill off the Tengus? 4, 5, 6 even Twin Blades going down potentially there, and the Tengus don't go down at all. Fully heroic Shogun battleship, I think, will just barely make it. There's ramming speed being activated, and this Shogun battleship is going to try and survive, but it might just barely not make it. No, it will. It's close, but it'll get there. After so much time, finally, it happened. A couple of more Twin Blades going down. Edvin and Chris once again trading blows, but Edvin may eventually set his sights on Blind Honor, who he probably could have killed off like 5 minutes ago. And this is the dance that these guys are doing. They're all friends, but also, you know, if Edvin wants to win, he doesn't necessarily want to kill off Blind Honor and make himself vulnerable while doing that. Toxin's going to be coming down. Psionic Decimator. It's a watch company. But, Psionic Decimator being constructed. Rearranging his fleet. For whatever reason, Edvin decided not to kill Blind Honor. I guess just because they were having a good time typing in the chat or whatever. Ore refinery from Chris, once again going to be eliminated by the Shogun battleships of Edvin. MiG's moving out. MiG's taking some shots against the Twin Blades, or the Twin Frog. Don't think any of the MiGs actually went down, though. Escape away to the north. Chris is going to dodge down south. Probably not worth suiciding to get that. Although, Psionic Decimator would probably be worth suiciding to get. Going to go for the power plants just to make sure no base defenses can slow him down. Great use of the Bullfrogs to actually bring them along for this fight. Shogun battleship's going to be taking some shots off on those Bullfrogs. And are you kidding me? You are actually serious? Blind Honor uses his Iron Curtain to protect Edvin's Psionic Decimator. And at this point, I don't even know what the point of this game is. I guess it's a 2v1 against Chris. I mean, it's kind of been like that for a little while now, but there's the sell-off. Hey, it didn't even work. You just burned your Iron Curtain for nothing. You literally wasted it for a not good reason, and it didn't even do the thing that you were trying to do. Hey, the MCV is safe, though. Not that that means anything. Not that Edvin's used his MCV for anything really in the last 5 minutes. I mean, he built a Psionic Decimator that got killed. I guess that's a use. Iron Curtain, 1 minute and 50 seconds left for Chris, and 1 minute left on the Vacuum Imploder. Always nice when those two things can line up. You can use a little Iron Curtain on your stuff if you see the flare go up. And yeah. Chris still has a lot of infrastructure in the middle of the map. This guy has been pretty consistent with rebuilding refineries, keeping his harvesters online, just constantly trying to rebuild the huge amounts of infrastructure that he loses. There's the split by Chris. Magnetic Singularity locks nothing down. A couple of bullfrogs could end up getting destroyed if Blind Honor or Edvin had been more prepared for that. Make use of the split of the forces. Alright, mini-sub goes off somewhere. This is gonna be weird. Well, there you go. Everything is kind of too spread out for like a really juicy hit. Gets the tier 3, so that's good. I mean, I guess it stops you from rebuilding a vacuum imploder. Yeah. Iron curtains are now online. Although you could Iron Curtain Natasha. Go for the kill that way. Toxins come down to delay the bullfrogs. And oh! The final squadron almost gets the kill on Chris's Iron Curtain. The 2v1 is real. Alright. The Twin Blades probably would have made it back in time. Yeah, they would have made it back in time. It's a curious case of, or a curious use case of the Iron Curtain. Chronosphere and Iron Curtain insta-kill on infantry. And of course, with the Chronosphere, you could move land units onto water, or water units onto land, or stuff onto cliffs to get a kill. Various buildings. Maybe you can't do buildings in this one. Are battle bunkers impervious to toxins? I'm not 100% sure. Natasha escapes, but the battle bunker looks like it's empty. I don't know if it actually is. Natasha gets sniped by the Twin Blades. The sniper gets sniped, and the Shogun battleship going to be firing upon that refinery through the land. I mean, at least it doesn't do the thing in StarCraft where it, like, curves up and then comes down, which, you know, is like, I guess visually it doesn't break as much, but obviously it's still funny to see shots bend around objects in that way. Pretty good use of an Iron Curtain slapped down there to protect the Crusher Crane and the airfield. Goodbye, MiGs, as they get absolutely slaughtered. Not a single MiG fires a shot. A MiG does kill a bullfrog in a bizarre move that happens very rarely. And Chris, after 100 minutes of a 2v1, does some pretty good damage against Blind Honor. Not necessarily game-ending damage, as the bullfrogs are going to have to be turned around. There goes the airfield. And a couple of flak cannons now going to be under construction for Chris. He needs those bullfrogs to get there yesterday and to clear out this many Skywings. This is a lot of Skywings. They're now going to be going after the MCV, all packed up as the MCV. There's a Crusher Crane somewhere, though, I think, because he was building two things at once. Oh, yeah, the Crusher Crane is right there. But no production facilities to rebuild an MCV. So if the Skywings suicide on the Crusher Crane, they could actually get the kill on that. And that is going to be it for the build queue of Chris. Goodbye. Oh, no, the Crusher Crane with 1% health. Now, this is a true, like, just go for this suicide mission kind of move. The Engineer is going for the hero recovery. Oh, my gosh, Chris. He may actually be able to make this worth. The Engineer is going to jump inside of that Crusher Crane. The Sea-Wings, too scared to turn into Skywings, and Chris really needs to get up a naval yard just to be able to rebuild an MCV so he can keep himself in this game forever. Twin Blade, or Bullfrogs, 3 of them fully heroic. They're going to jump on top of the Bullfrogs. The Skywings, as they go in there, they're once again going to go for the Crusher Crane. So many crashing down. Skywings, and they barely do get it. The couple of... He didn't use it on the Crusher Crane. Chris could have used his Iron Curtain on the Crusher Crane, but he used it on the Bullfrogs instead. If only he could have gotten both, and that is going to be it for Chris in terms of production. He has a barracks, and that's literally it. I mean, he has income, but an Iron Curtain and no more support powers. It cost quite a lot for Edvin to be able to do that, but he was able to clear out Chris. Bullfrog fully invincible. As Baby Bert bonks his head against my desk. I don't actually know if you can hear that, but that was a little bit of a bonk. 2 Bullfrogs can be overwhelmed by this many Twin Blades, but if the Bullfrogs are well controlled, they may actually be able to chip away at the Twin Blades before they can close the distance. There'll be a tight ending. 1 Bullfrog down. The second Bullfrog gets jumped on as well. Satellites raining down, and I think this is going to have to be it for Blind Honor. He may have a couple of MiGs, and the Vacuum Imploder actually going to be firing off on his own base. He's nuking his own stuff in an effort to get the Twin Blades. That was his one chance to stop Chris, but Blind Honor has been defeated. After some underhanded shenanigans with Edvin, Blind Honor falls to the mighty power that is Chris. And we have Chris and Edvin locked in a fight. The Twin Blades, almost all of them going down. The Bullfrogs having a heyday, clearing out so many Tengus. Chris looking for some kind of an opportunity with only 3 Bullfrogs out on the map, or 3 Twin Blades out on the map. A couple of Bullfrogs, no Crane, no MCV, double Vat Twin Blades. Shogun Battleship MCV in the corner of the map, still income, very small amounts of income, but technically still some income. And I think Edvin has this. I assume he's just going to play defensive and not let Chris... Oh, actually, are there no Sea-Wings left? They're flying over. No, it's Tengus that are flying over, but the Tengus can be killed off by the Bullfrogs. Not easily, but they can be done. They can be done in by the Bullfrogs, and if they transform, then the Twin Blades can get them. But out on the water, the Yari mini-subs can deal with everything. 1 Twin Blade doesn't actually go down, and all of the Tengus get eliminated. And the MCV goes down. The Engineer gets eliminated. The final squadron gets called in, but they do almost no damage to air, as it turns out. There still can be Engineers to repair this Iron Curtain, so I wouldn't be counting that Iron Curtain down and out just yet. All of the Bullfrogs, 5 of them fully heroic, now also invincible, able to skate across the water and escape these Yari mini-subs. Yeah, you can attack them all you want. Won't do you any good. Alright, I don't know how Chris is going to game plan this one out, but he's gonna try something. Edvin still has money, though. Like, at the end of the day, Edvin's got money. You might as well sell off these Defender VX cores. Oh, well, actually, no, you could sell off other buildings to try and bring the Defender VX cores back online. Like, do you need the Tier 3 actively? You could probably sell that off and be fine. And in this case, he might actually be forced to sell it off, maybe even sell off the barracks as well. I think the Defender VX cores, you either need to sell them off or bring them online, one of those two things, to be able to do something. Tank Busters all get eliminated, which means now the Tengus can also be eliminated. What do you want to do? It's not actually enough. He's going to have to sell off the Naval Yard as well. just a single instant generator in the corner. The Twin Blades going to be able to try and take down the Tengus, and goodbye both Tengus. All of the Bullfrogs survive, and Chris has cleared most of the meaningful units from edvin. If he doesn't have enough cash to get out some anti-air, even if he does have enough cash to get out anti-air, I don't know if it will even be able to happen. There's the sell-off of the refinery. He brings his Defender VX core back online, but I think it goes back offline with the power plant being destroyed. Goodbye, Defender VX core. He decided to bring it back online for like the last possible second, and that is as much as he could do. Chris, with an incredible performance, outperforming two other guys who were trying desperately to outmaneuver him. The two of them playing their superpowers together. One Twin Blade goes down. A second Twin Blade so close to death. And if the Twin Blades go down, edvin has no way to get more money. But if he has a couple grand, $5,000, he can rebuild his MCV, which he doesn't. He's out of cash now. So that's it for money for him. Chris has $250, which is not actually enough to build like another engineer. And no, you know, he can sell off the super reactors. He doesn't need 2 super reactors. The bear is heading out. He has an APOC tank. Iron Curtain is ready to go. What do you actually Iron Curtain, though? You can Iron Curtain Twin Blades if you give the, like, pickup command. And then you would just rush over there and, this bear gets eliminated by the Yari mini-subs. Maybe a little bit overkill. Yeah, I don't know what that plan was. Like, obviously that's not going to work. Sells off a reactor, sells off a super reactor as well. Okay. He's not going to Iron Curtain the Twin Blades? Okay, he's repositioning them to Iron Curtain everything? I don't know what Chris is doing. There we go. There's the Iron Curtain on absolutely everything. It might have actually been worth it to do Iron Curtain over here to try and... Is he going to jump? Just jump on the C-Wing, actually. I guess he can wait for another Iron Curtain to fire off. He's going to consolidate all of his forces onto the middle of the map and then do something. He's trying to pull over the C-Wings. But the thing is, like, as long as the Iron Curtain exists, you can pull the Iron Curtain invincibility trick pretty much as you want. You could probably even just hide over here in the corner. Oh my gosh, he's trying to bait in the C-Wing. He barely doesn't get it. I guess when the C-Wing goes back underwater, it negates the grinder beam? What is that called? I guess it doesn't tell you when it's activated. The grinder tread beam thing. That lonely little conscript over there just waiting like us for the game to end. Shogun Battleship takes a nice shot at that APOC tank. Fully heroic APOC tank, fully heroic Shogun Battleship. The engineer is going to jump inside of the Bullfrog. No, he's going for the observation post. I guess. Lets you see over there, but... Obviously, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good if edvin just shoots it down, which for some reason edvin actually isn't. Our Iron Curtain is ready to fire off again. Alright, there's the... What? No. Oh, no! He messed it up! He's gonna go for the APOC tank. Okay, so that answers the question. Twin Blades can still hold APOC tanks. No! Unload it! Oh my gosh, this is... Okay, he got the APOC tank, and he has enough invincibility to almost certainly get the kill on this. He's going to lose both of his units most likely after the invincibility wears off, but he's just barely going to be able to pull it out, transforming the Sky Wings, but it's not enough as Edvin has been defeated. In life, not all things go as they should, but in this game, it all worked out in the end. Chris is victorious after playing better for the majority of the game, being 2v1'd by a couple of conniving friends, and they were probably laughing the whole time. We have our conclusion. Chris claims the title as the king of this FFA. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. What did I just say? Whatever. Goodbye. Sybert signing out.